Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Fabric Friday. With these live streams, I'm just showing you what I do when I enter a subdivision or uh, description by meets and bounds. If you're here live, appreciate you tuning in. If you're here for the recording, or if you're watching this recorded, you might want to try watching live, because in the live, I can answer questions and see your feedback, and usually chat with you through the chat. So welcome this week. This week I decided to try an older subdivision, one that was recorded in 1956 in Ogden, Utah. It's in a part of town that is one of the more established parts of town. So 1956 subdivision. I think in the county I work for, there's not one older than 1960 something. So this is a pretty old one. It's going to be hand drawn. Notice the description is typed. I have the description up here on the screen. The description is typed, and so it's not hand written, but it's typed up. And I thought this week, rather than try to show the description on the screen and then show me entering it in ArcGIS Pro, I'm going to give you a minute here to take a screenshot of that, and I'll move my camera out of your way so that you can take a screenshot of that description, and heck, maybe you could even enter it as I do on a dummy file geodatabase or Fabric. So there's the description. Give you another couple seconds to take a screenshot there. If you can hear me all right, let me know in the chat. My microphone thing is saying I'm being heard. Just want to make sure you can hear me all right. All right, so I'm going to put that on the other screen so I can see it. And this is Ogden, Utah. I don't know if you've been to Ogden. It's a pretty nice town. These are the monuments. This is the actual tie for the subdivision, this northwest corner of whatever section it is. Looks like it's section 4. So we're going to start from here. I'm going to open up the modify features pane and begin a traverse. Change it. Oh, looks like I don't have subdivisions turned on. There we go. Subdivision lines. I'm going to start with, no, actually connection lines. I don't know how many times I've done that. Connection lines aren't drawn. There we go. So again, I think I've said this in a previous stream. If you don't have connection lines visible when you start or fire up the traverse tool, you're not going to have those available. So you have to back out of it and go into it again. Then it's available. So we're going to set our start point as this monument right here. In my description, it starts at a lot corner or a block corner, I think, but then gives a description of where that block corner is from the monument. So I'm going to do this one without a ground to grid. It doesn't give us a basis of bearing because it's 1956. But I'm thinking it's probably using a bearing between these two monuments. But I'm going to try it without that basis of bearing and see how it works out. So it's 89 degrees, 2 minutes southeast, 1,166.06 feet, and south 0.58 or 58 minutes southwest, 472.8. And then from there, that's the block corner. From there, it's south 222.48 feet is the point of beginning. And that looks like it's right in the middle of a house. So maybe I don't have very good monumentation there, or let me look at the plat here, because I wonder if that 422 feet isn't needed, because in the drawing it just shows the 1,166.06 feet and then 472.8 feet. So I'm going to take out that last line and just assume that's extemporaneous, I guess. So there will be my point of beginning. Looks like it might be about right. We'll see. Now I'm going to click the new button and change over to subdivision lines. And it automatically starts from the last point, which is handy sometimes. Sometimes it's not handy. So back to the description. I don't know if you guys want me to call these out as I type them. It's a bit of a lot to say. So we're going to follow that same bearing, 8902 southeast. And I'm going to turn on my auto pen. It's on. So now we've got a curve, and that gives me the chord bearing. So I'm going to make sure I've got chord selected there, and then does it give me delta angle or arc length? So I think it just gives me arc length. So I'm going to change that to arc length. I like delta because I feel it's a little more accurate. So the chord bearing is 77.28 northeast, 81.71 feet. Oh. I entered a distance instead of skipping, so you can see how I handle a screw up. And the radius is 175 feet to the left, so it's negative. And then the arc length is 82.47 feet. There, that looks better. North 63.58-1, 54.69 feet. Now we're going to go along another curve, 25-foot radius curve to the left. We'll try it as tangent. Uh, 27.49 feet. And then we should be, looks like they're rounding, 0.58 to the northeast. .02 southeast, 50 feet. So a lot of these are going to be perpendicular. And I don't know if you've known about this trick, but if the previous line is perpendicular, or if the new line is perpendicular to the old line, let's see, I don't think that's the 20 feet. Got that one wrong. So as I was saying, that if your new line is perpendicular to the old line, you can either put a minus or a plus, minus for left and plus for right. if you're standing astride the line in the direction it's going, this is left, that's right, except it's going to be flipped flipped for you guys. I'm going to make my camera a little bigger. Okay, back to the description. So if I use the minus, it fills it in automatically for you, which is the correct bearing, 181.28 feet. And now I'm going to hit a plus because it's perpendicular to the right and do 8.52 feet. Now I'm going to do my minus and do 146.27 feet. And then a plus 163.92. And then a plus again, nope, minus southeast 35.19. Now we've got a new bearing 21.25 to the southeast. And then we've got a new bearing, it's not perpendicular. And now this one is perpendicular. Well, not 4 feet, 463. And then again, a perpendicular to the right, 156.92. See how we get on the closing. 0.02 feet. That's pretty impressive for 1956 equipment. And it's looking like we might be a little bit off. So I'm going to do that ground to grid, just see what it gets me. And let's see, I just turned it on. So we'll say 89.02 southeast, leave the distance as 0. Beginning point, ending point. And that adjusted that, but the trouble is I didn't adjust my connection line, so this is how I handle that. I'm going to select my connection lines. Whoops, fired up the Select by Attributes tool. I'm going to make connection lines selectable. Select those and just delete them. Now these, I don't know if you noticed, but these subdivision lines actually rotated when I did that ground to grid correction. They did rotate a little. So I'm going to back out of this and do another traverse for my connection lines. And that's now I have those, and I'm going to select my subdivision lines. I do this by right-clicking, make it the only selectable layer. And now I'm going to select all of those. And I'm going to use the Move tool. And if I hold the Control key down, it gives me an anchor point that I can use to snap. That's what that yellow line is. I actually have a video about the Move tool, which is quite handy. And then it'll snap to that point there. And because it rotated after I entered the ground to grid, I don't know, maybe there's an amendment that doesn't make those cut through those houses. Or maybe I've got bad section monumentation. I kind of used Weber County's online system, and I think the coordinates I got from that might be a little old. So maybe I'll move it after I get it cut up to match the road lines. And what do you guys feel about that? Do you think that's proper? We had an intern who didn't think moving anything was proper. You shouldn't be moving anything that's in a description. But I feel like, you know, it was intended to be in a certain place. Anyway. So now I'm going to georeference my plat, and it takes a while to load it. I've said this before. It's really nice that now you can georeference a PDF instead of converting your PDF to a TIFF and then georeferencing that TIFF, because you had to run a geoprocessing tool. Now you can just drag and drop your PDF into the project or into the map, and it will let you georeference it from there. So I just hit OK on that, and it's going to add a PDF raster layer. So I think it takes, I don't know which one would be more time saving. Might be even, I don't know. Anybody do anything fun lately? Now I've got an unknown coordinate system. So to now georeference that, I go to the imagery tab, and I click on the georeference button, which opens up my opens up a new tab. Now I use fit to display, and it's going to be rotated because they put this on as portrait orientation instead of landscape, which is kind of odd. I mean, look at all that signature stuff and text. So now I'm going to do fixed rotate to the right, and I can actually move it to get it a little closer to what I need. And then I can uncheck that. Now I add control points. The trouble is, this isn't going to be a good permanent georeference because I'm off. Now where did my, there it is. Dang, it's almost scaled right. I usually do 3 in opposing corners, and that is good enough. Do you guys have any faster methods of doing this? So now I save the georeferencing and close the georeferencing tab. So now that's gone. My next step is I make my subdivision lines selectable, which they already are. And I'm going to split those up using the divide tool. That's a little hard to read. It looks like 81.92. Looks like that's right. But then they don't give me a distance for this one. So I'm just going to say divide and then Pro says, hey, this is 75 plus or minus. They put the plus or minus in there because I didn't enter it, which I'm fine with. And then I don't think we have to split any more of these. Boy, that PDF draws slow. I can turn off my imagery because we're not. I don't have slow internet. I don't, maybe because I'm broadcasting, it's slowing things down. Even so, the plat is on my hard drive, so. I think this is the line that's going to be drawn next, or needed to be split. Boy, that is glacial. So I haven't been doing live streams for the past few weeks because my wife and I took a trip. We went up to the Redwoods in northern California and drove up the coast of Oregon, over to Bend, Oregon, and then back. It's quite a fun trip. Wow, that's that line is off. Those redwoods, I don't know if you've been up there, but holy cow, that's amazing. Those redwood groves and being in them. It's, the word awesome is used way too often, but that's what they are. It is awesome to be in those groves. Hopefully that drawing won't be that slow anymore. And this is what I've found with these older plats is they don't match up with the boundary because they're hand drawn. So but another thing about these older plats is the distances. They are correct. In the newer plats where the labels or the annotation are drawn by the computer, it rounds up or down differently than what the line length is. So you've got a 0.01 difference, but not these old ones, 131.66, and I think that's 10.26 and 22. Yep. So those older surveyors, they were a little more particular about having the labels match up with the actual length of the line, not 422, 42.22, 77.87, and 9.75. Don't need to divide that one. I do this little thing to reset the tool so that I don't have to overwrite anything. I think I used to have some issues when I'd try to overwrite them. And so I just reset it that way. It's pretty quick. And then 23.1. Select my new line, do my little trick. 39.87, 69.77, 83.03, 75, 68. I don't know what that one is. We'll go 68 because see, they don't label it down here, but they do label it up here. So I think it's implied that this line is 68. So we'll say 68 and 60. That's right. Because it gives me the 0 right there. So all of those outside lines are split up. Oh, so I'm just going to leave it this way. But what I usually do is I copy the subdivision lines over to the lot lines. So now I've got lot lines or subdivision lines that are split up, and I don't usually have that. So I'm going to copy these lines over to lots. So I missed that step. I could fix it, but it'd take too long. I don't want to do that in a live stream, so now we're going to switch over to just selecting lot lines. Clear my selection. I'm going to actually turn off the subdivision. So I'm going to start right here on this right-of-way with another traverse. Maybe the streaming is slowing down my PC. I'm going to make this change to lot lines. I don't know how many times I've left it either subdivision lines or connection lines, and it's a pain to fix it. So these are the parameters of the curve. They don't give us the, I believe this is the arc length, not, well, maybe it's the chord length, because I don't think 35.36 is the 90-degree delta length for the arc length. We'll give it a shot and see what it comes up with. So the chord bearing is 45.58 northeast. Put 0 in my distance so I can move over to the radius. It's going to be 25 feet to the right. And we'll say 35.36. I guess that's right. I thought a 90-degree on a 25-foot was in the 20s. So now our outgoing, let's see what 35.36, and here's an override. If you put a C in there, that overrides the traverse tool is expecting. So the C stands for chord length. So if I put C, it will change that. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's better? Let's put in our closing location. See, the chord length gets us closer to the closing location than the arc length. Because I'm thinking that might be better than the arc length. So my closing point is going to be, did my snapping get, boy, it's slow today. There we go. All right. Yeah, I think the chord length, that's the chord length, because the outgoing bearing is closer to 89.02. 35, and then I'm just going to hit enter again because it's the same bearing. 68, enter again, 52.51. Now we're into another curve, and I'm just going to enter the star key because it's tangent. 0 for the distance, and the radius is Boy, what is that? So it's 200 up here, 60 foot, I guess. Is it that wide of a 60 to the left? 15.49. So they give me, oh, that's not. So they give me the length right there. I don't think it's 60, so I think that's the cord length. It's 50 foot, so it should be 150. Negative 150. So I came over here to see that the road is 50 feet. No, it's 250, not 150. So it's 50 feet wide. So this one was 200. So this one is going to be 250 because it's on the outside. And then 15.49 arc length. Tangent again. I went positive 250, so I'm going to have to come back and enter negative 250. Tangent, I hope that tangent bearing is right. When you screw up, the autofill isn't right. And this one's 60.18. That's looking better. This time the autofill was right. 30.36. Wow. Not 3,036. And that looks like it's a straight line for 13.31 feet. Doesn't give us a bearing, but we're going to assume it's the same bearing as this up here. Oh, and that's not going to be my closing location. I have to change that. 63.58 northeast, 13.31. Tangent curve. And that one is a 300 foot. So it's it's going to be 250 going to the right this time. Because the center is 300 feet. No, 270. 275 because it's on the inside of the circle, if that makes any sense. So with these older ones, you have to make a lot of assumptions. And the length is 26.27. 68.17. 35.15. Look at that. We came out pretty close to 89 degrees in 2 minutes. 26.02 and then 63.78. With this curve, they give us a delta. And a tangent. So there they gave me there's the radius right there. The radius is 25 to the right. And the length is 27.27 feet. Now our bearing, they didn't label it over here, but they imply that this is the same bearing. It's 26.32. It's pretty close. 74.88. And I'm going to remove my closing and set it again to this point. Hit enter again, 110 feet. That's 2.3 4 or 5 feet off. I'm not sure where I went off. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to, usually I use the drawing where I can see where I went off. Maybe it's this location. I don't know. You either live with it or try to figure out where. I'm wondering if it's this line here, and you can select a line over here. No, not that one, this one. So if you select a line in the map, it's selected in the traverse entry grid. So I'm going to enter 88.5938 northeast as a chord bearing. We're going to put CB in there just in case. And when you do this, if you've entered tangent bearings, it adjusts all of the subsequent lines. Now we're 2.09 feet. It gave us chord bearings for all of them. I don't know, should I go through and change all these? It's moving it quite a bit. 67.4954. I think that's what it says. That one moved it a lot. So I don't know if that's right. It's 1.87. Now it's short 1.87 instead of overshooting. So I think maybe I need to just enter the chord bearings for everything instead of tangent. Boy, that takes forever to draw. I don't know if I trust that one. $66.4212. Now I'm 9.63 feet off. I don't know if I trust those. 76.3231. Yeah, I'm also not putting in that that's the chord bearing because it's changing it. I don't know what's going on there. Wow, that is 67.4954-1 CB. This is an issue with doing these older. You either live with it or you try to go back and fix it. Oh yeah, put in there TB, so I think I do have to put in there chord bearing. Now we're 0.03 feet. Okay, I feel better about that. So now I'm going to hit my hamburger up here and say force close. And now I'm going to go new. And with this one, we're going to start. Have to wait for that to draw. Right there. that one is going to close here. There we go. So, give you another update on what's going on in my life. I became a grandpa this year, twice. Two kids. Two kids had kids, both boys. So, that's fun. Being a grandpa is a lot less stressful than being a dad, I'll tell you that. But it's a lot more fun too. Don't have to get up in the night. I'm hitting enter twice there because it's the same bearing and same distance. This time I'm just hitting enter for the same bearing, 44.64. And that's another issue with these older plats is they don't scan very well because sometimes they're on actual linen. I don't know if you've been in a recorder's office and they have, now everything's kind of on Mylar, which is less stretchy, I guess, it lasts longer and isn't deformed as easily. So, but these older ones, I think they're actually on linen fabric, kind of a rough, stiff linen. Anyway, so it looks like the cord bearing is 227 to the northwest. It says southeast, but I'm going the other way. So hit 0 for the distance. The radius is 25 to the right, 21.02 length. This is going to be a pain to enter the cord bearings for all of these. 16.2958 northeast. That one is 50, so that's gives me the radius right here. So it's 50 to the left, and the length is 9. I'm gonna guess just 9 feet. Do you think that's 10.5? That's, and the bearing is kind of 5.1938 to the northeast. I'm going to say 10.5 and go with that. I'm going to try a tangent and see how what that gets us. 52.91. I don't know. That's looking off. So it looks like because I hit the star, changed it to tangent bearing, so that's why our others were all off. With that one, it's 35,901 to the northwest. And I didn't hit CB. .88, 2332 to the southwest, CB. Looks like it's about the same, so kind of weird. I don't know if they just drew it a little weird. .34. I like how I have to tilt my head to. I'm sure that looks pretty great on the camera there. And 66.53 southeast. And it's a 25-foot radius. So that came out pretty close to 89.02. Nope, that's not south. So I could have messed up right there. I had it in the southwest quadrant. It's actually northwest. Now I'm just going to go tangent here, and that's a 25-foot radius curve to the right. And I don't think they give me the length, so I'm just going to say 35.36 and use my C override for the chord length. Train's going by. I don't know if you can hear it. Let me know if you can. I have to adjust my mic settings. And that's north 0.58 to the northeast. That train's going uphill, so it's a little more noisy. Wow, that's not the right distance out. I went with this length on the center line, so that's why it went so far. I didn't enter the lot line length, and that's 116.994. So you see I hit the star key there. You need to be careful with that because it will do math. So if I hit it in between the 9 and 4, it'd take 116.9 times 4. Let's just do it so you can see that it'll do it. So it did 467.6. I'm going to hit my back. I don't know. Do you guys have your back extent button up here in the quick, what do they call this thing? The customize, nope. Quick access toolbar. What do you guys have in your quick access toolbar? I've got my back, my explorer, add data, selection, measure, bookmarks, and the ones they give you. I think undo and redo. That's a handy little. Otherwise, you'd have to go to the map tab to get your back. So that one's 0.07 foot closure. I think that's a little better. Force closure. I don't think I'm going to get done with this one today because I had to kind of finagle things with the lots or the right-of-ways and the curves. Let's see if we can get it done. We're going to do more lot lines. It's going to pan up there, so I'm going to start up here. Again, it's a lot of clicking. 141.94. Let's see if it does force close, so I'm not going to check every time. I have to click New Start, click the close. I'm going to assume that it's 0.58 southwest. I'm going to hit Shift Home, Control C to copy that bearing just so I don't have to keep typing it in. This distance is 124 point, I don't know, 97. That's 1.23 feet off, but I think that might be it's the same bearing. I wonder if that's another curve issue. We'll force the closure though. I wonder if it's sometimes in these older ones with the drawing and the math, they kind of put all their errors in one corner. You guys seen that? 143.58. See, that was fine. I think something's wonky with that. Either this length or that bearing shouldn't be the same bearing. I don't know, it might be that length. .78 .0238 -3113.24. That hit 0. Nice job. Now that I copied that bearing, I'm probably not ever going to use it again. Another .01 closure. See all this clicking. If you haven't seen my earlier video, my first live stream, I think I go into detail about how ArcMap was a little easier for subdivision entry because you could just enter point numbers and stay on the keypad. I'm hoping Amir can work that into their development schedule. We'll start down here and we will end here. See, the auto pan takes me away from what I need to see. So with that one, you know what, I'm going to change that. I don't want to do the whole length. I'm just going to do the partial length, 78.78, and then enter again for the 104.93. 0.05 closure. Then I'm going to do the cross line. Sometimes I'll forget these little, I'll do this one and then forget this line and have to come back and split it. Maybe I'll show you that at the end. I'm going to not do this line, and I'll show you how I handle that after I build my lots. I'm turning off auto pan. It's becoming a pain. And that one's 1.3 feet off. I'm going to force it to close. I think that's just a part of that curve problem. And that one's 1.29 feet off. I think maybe these bearings were computed instead of measured in the field. Oh, so there's my bearing, except now I have it at southwest and I want to reverse direction. Now it's northeast. I don't know if you knew about that little trick. I think one of you in my first stream pointed it out to me. I was clicking in this box trying to get that reverse direction. You've got to click over here to get the reverse direction. That one closed 0.01 closure. That's a nice job. Two more. Except now my copy. Oh, I can change that. We'll start up here and down here. Now Control V. Missed it. What do you guys have your snapping tolerance set to? I think mine is 10 pixels. I don't remember. Okay, now we're gonna create seeds. You notice since I didn't do that line, it's gonna only create one seed, but I'm gonna build anyway so I can show you how I deal with that. So now when I usually catch it when I go through and number the lots and it comes out 15 lots instead of 16, then I say, oh, I missed that line. So I'm changing my selection to be lots. And I select that lot and I go to shrink to seeds. And now I do a new traverse. And I do 77.58 northeast. What is that distance? It doesn't give me a distance. Another, I bet they just forgot, because they had plenty of room, they just forgot to label that. So we're going to have to go with, well, let's just do the 2-point line. Oh, I missed. Close the stupid measure tool. And click there. So it has 99.45 in brackets. That means it wasn't entered, it was digitized. Go back, and now we'll create seeds. It adds another seed and builds. So now I have those two lots. So that's how I deal with skipping over a lot. So that's, I don't have time. Well, I mean, I got 3 minutes. I can probably do the sequential numbering. Add those lot numbers. I'm going to start with 1, increment 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Double click there because I don't want to label my, double click there because I've got that little short one that would grab a lot number, and there. So that's that old subdivision. It's kind of takes me a lot longer. It's only 16 lots, but took a full hour. A lot of that time was drawing. So there you go, 1956 Langford subdivision in Ogden, Utah. I'm not going to go through the process of figuring out where it was supposed to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be quite a bit off. So I would just select those and move them to match either the newer surrounding properties or whatever. That's what I do. Let me know what you guys would do in the comments. Sounds like the train was audible. It was an uphill train, so it was pretty loud. Let me know if you have any feedback on these live streams. I know not a lot of you are joining me live. Let's see if it tells me how many are. It says 31 views. 2 of you are there right now. Thanks for sticking around. So these, I'm just doing these to try to help you see what my process is. And if you have a better process, let me know. Put something in the comments. I leave these videos up to be viewable after they're streamed. So get in the comments. Let me know if you have a faster way of doing this stuff or tricks for these older subdivisions. Let me know. And I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but if you have a subdivision that you're struggling with, let me know. Send me an email. My email is my channel name, no spaces, at the Gmail. I don't put it in anywhere, so I don't want to get a bunch of spam. So send me a subdivision plan and I'll do it. I'm not afraid of anything. You saw me screw up a whole bunch of times with this one, so that's all the time I've got. So appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time.